Hi, I'm Andrew Conway, bringing you this special IPA update edition from Canberra as a result of the federal budget. And it has been a very interesting week for the IPA. We've had the pre-budget lecture on Monday evening, followed by our board activities and, importantly, the federal budget, and then, of course, the federal budget breakfast. So the question is, what's in this federal budget, particularly for small business and particularly for our members in relation to taxation reform? The IPA's view is that the federal budget really has failed to deliver in providing real reform for small business. We lobbied very heavily for small business taxation reform and for some specific assistance in relation to superannuation and demographic-centred approaches to superannuation. Unfortunately, this budget fails to deliver on those fronts. We've all seen the press reports about the federal budget, and the IPA's view is that this federal budget in particular does have a range of small spending initiatives, some long-term vision and promises, but really it falls short on delivering for here and now in the short term. In relation to small business initiatives, of course, the IPA pushed for a differential rate of taxation for small business, and unfortunately, again, that was not contained in this budget. The budget papers did include a tax reform roadmap agenda. And interestingly, that does not include any income tax reform, nor does it provide us with any really new initiatives for small business. In fact, the three initiatives included in the federal budget for small business that they claimed in the papers in relation to R&D tax concessions, to superannuation, and also to the way in which small business administers superannuation on behalf of the government are actually old initiatives. So there's nothing new for small business tax reform. But for more on where the IPA sees the budget going, and particularly in relation to financial services, we're joined now by our Senior Policy Advisor, Reece Agland, to talk to us about financial services. Reece, an interesting budget, but unfortunately I don't think we did see anything for superannuation nor for small business.
No, we didn't really see anything in relation to superannuation other than the measures that had been previously announced, which I guess in some ways is a good thing in that we were concerned there would be some nasty stings in the tail that actually didn't eventuate. What we did see, again, is what had been pre-announced. One good thing was the increase in the concessional caps from 25,000 to 35,000 for those over 60 from 2013 and those over 50 from 2014. However, this comes at the expense of the previously announced government policy that those over 50 with low superannuation balances would actually be able to contribute up to 50,000. So it's actually a saving for the government, not an actual increase in the concessions. What we have also seen is something that we did ask for, and that was some reform to the excessive contributions tax. The government will allow people to withdraw some of that, and will also change the tax rate from being the highest tax rate to being the marginal tax rate of the taxpayer plus an interest charge, which for some people will mean a reduced ECT, but for those on the highest margin, it actually might mean they pay more ECT because they're going to have a general interest charge on top of that. So it was a mishmash of some good, some not so good, and nothing new.
So that's in relation to superannuation. As we also saw in terms of small business, as we mentioned at the outset, the simplified depreciation arrangements were an initiative announced in last year's budget. The R&D tax concession, a marginal win there for small business, and also some government procurement arrangements also streamlined for small business. But for the vast majority of small businesses, there really is nothing much in this federal budget. A lot of discussion at the federal budget breakfast this morning around how the budget actually affects a range of businesses. In fact, the Minister, Bill Shorten, was asked about the impact on small business, and his comment and the government's line in relation to this is that the range of initiatives in the federal budget actually assist small business indirectly, and therefore things like providing support to health and well-being initiatives will actually indirectly affect small business. And whilst that's true, we would have liked to have seen some direct assistance to help small businesses to grow and to invest. It is true that across the OECD and across most developed countries, particularly the US recently, the recognition that SMEs are actually the core of economic development and growth, and that's why the IPA is fighting very hard to ensure that this government and potentially the future government understand the role that SMEs play and the important role they do. At our pre-budget lecture, the Shadow Minister for Small Business, the Honourable Bruce Billson, provided his overview of the federal budget in advance, and also what the coalition would look to do in government. And that was a very interesting discussion, and we might hear from what Bruce Billson had to say in relation to his initiatives for small business now.
We think we can do that a couple of ways. Get rid of the carbon tax. It's not reducing our emissions. It's not on the forecast that was there. We are the only country in the world applying this reverse tariff to our economy. In the area of regulation, we've had 21,000 new or amended regulations over 5 years, and at last count 111 have been repealed. Ending the need for small business to be the pay clerk for the government's paid parental leave scheme. Look at having the ATO distribute superannuation contributions paid as part of your PAYG. These are just some of the things we hope we get the opportunity to do. They are born out of very valued consultation with your organisation. I appreciate and we place great weight on the insights that are shared through the IPA, which arise out of your day-to-day experience.
So that's the IPA update. We'll be continuing to provide you more information as it unfolds and as our analysis of the budget papers continues. But we have provided a range of information already in relation to the federal budget outcomes. Do stay tuned on the IPA website for more information, and particularly on our digital hub, pubact.org.au, and via our YouTube and social media channels as well. That's all for this edition of IPA Update. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.